So this one is a doozy. As we know, recently NXT transformed into NXT 2.0 and is basically a completely different product. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you do like it. I don't care. I just want you to be happy. Although the recent rumor is that even after 4 months, WWE is like, well, we didn't know what we were doing, maybe we should change it. And if that does happen, well, I'll be happy because here on a video on What Culture, it was one of my 10 predictions for 2022. There is far more to this though, and it kind of ties into the whole shebang, because Vince McMahon is coming up with more crazy rules for his third brand. Why? Here's why. Right, the knowledge comes from one Scotty 2 Hotty or Scott Garland, who was a performance coach down in NXT. And look, he was talking to Chris Jericho on his Talk Is Jericho show, and he had some tremendous things to say about his time there, but he also said this. Run the quote.
As soon as it started to change, Hunter went away and the other guys started to come in. It was okay, we gotta get back to business casual again. The next week it was, Vince wants the coaches looking younger, so we need your guys to start dyeing your beards and cutting your hair. I literally lost sleep over it. I've had every kind of facial hair dye, goatee, the beard, spiked up hair, bald head. It's not about that. It's like if they're gonna have us jump through hoops like monkeys just to see if they'll do it. So if you do that, what's next?
I don't know why I applied the silly voice filter. I am a very silly man. And there is a lot there to digest, but the one that stood out to me the most is that if you are a teacher down in the performance center, you have to take your beard and either get rid of it entirely or dye it. And I'm sorry, that is one of the most perplexing things I've ever heard. I mean, given that it has no bearing on your actual job, that is like a chef being told, I'm sorry, Phil, you've got to be really good at tennis, or I don't know, a lawyer being told you're getting fired because you're not very good at Halo. Who played Halo in 2022? These kids are so damn good at it because their reflexes are really fast. Anywho, that aside, it has now become quite common if you do work for WWE for a bunch of these bizarre rules to become apparent, and I really do think we have to change tact, because the last thing you want to do is run off a really good coach just because said coach wants to walk around with a big grey beard. Like, who the flub cares? Have these people not seen Karate Kid? It is par for the course though, because if you have been into this wrestling game for a long old time, you will know that Vince McMahon doesn't like sneezing. And this isn't a rumor no more. We have heard multiple people not named Vincent Kennedy McMahon said, oh yeah, that's definitely true. I've been in the room when it's happened. And sometimes if you do this, you could be heading to like Moneytown because Vince likes you. You then go achoo, and all of a sudden you're heading down the drain pipe. And the reason he doesn't like it, if you're so interested, is because he doesn't enjoy things that he can't control. And when you try and get your head around that, don't even bother because it is proper perplexing. I mean, imagine yourself in this world. You are about to meet Vinnie Mac and someone says to you, oh yeah, please don't sneeze in front of the boss because it may not go well. Go and tell that to anybody else who is not into sports entertainment. They will slap you right around the face for wasting their time. This ties into what comes next too, because keep this person around once your cheek has calmed down and tell them that if they did get into WWE, they couldn't say the word belt, they couldn't say the word hospital, they couldn't say the word title shot, they couldn't say the word fan because it has to be WWE Universe. This will be their face. Because they won't understand where you're coming from because it doesn't make any sense. And I remember telling my girlfriend that somebody in the story had recently gone to a local medical facility and she looked at me like I was having a stroke. It's just not how people talk, but if Vince McMahon decrees it, it's gotta happen, and do not pretend that this conversation hasn't happened backstage. So, hey guys, we've decided we're not gonna say hospital anymore and instead we're gonna go with local medical facility. Why? Well, hospital just sounds really violent. But what the flub is a local medical facility? Well, it's a local facility where you get medical care. All right, what about ambulance? Local medical facility wagon. What about a hospital bed? Local medical facility cradle. You're an idiot. You're also always gonna get wrecked if you appear in your hometown, can't get a win there. You're not even allowed to stream on Twitch. And for a small while, it may still be going on, but I haven't heard about it for some time. When you were doing your entrance, you were told nobody is allowed to pose on the ropes anymore because too many people are already doing it. So you just had to look at them like they were some kind of alien. That was definitely on the table for a while. I remember all of the reports, and Roman Reigns was probably sat at the head of it. Not, I made it sound like I think Roman Reigns enforced these laws. I don't mean that. He just really liked wood. Another one of my favorites was always the curse of the Money in the Bank briefcase, because although that's a great opportunity in terms of your career, you were then told you have to take this anywhere. I don't mean on Raw or SmackDown or premium live events. I mean, if you were walking through an airport or having a sneaky McDonald's, they expected you to have the money in the back briefcase right there, so anybody walking past could be like, oh my gosh, there they are. And look, there's a great way to install kayfabe, because you do see a wrestler out of their element and they've still got all their props. It just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. But when you tie it into everything else, my word, it must be exhausting. It's also completely different to, oh, I'm sorry, you can't teach here because you've got an old man looking beard. And look, it is their company. Seriously, they can do whatever they want. But the problem, I feel, is that they're looking in the wrong direction. I mean, this one actually kept Scotty 2 Hotty up at night because he was freaking out about it so much, which I can completely understand. And once again, if you have the best teacher, why would you even risk losing them? And believe you me, you say this to the wrong individual, they gone. So it just feels like sometimes, especially if you aren't happy with NXT 2.0, you are looking over there when really that's where the money is. I mean, it's like taking somebody who has a very relatable and very understanding name and changing it to something that, ironically given this video, sounds like when you sneeze. I am, of course, talking about excuse me very much. And this isn't exclusive to NXT either, because like last year, or maybe it was 2020, all of a sudden on Raw and SmackDown, you had to have a match, then all of a sudden it would become another match, and then when they weren't wrestling, you'd have a commercial break. And it just made no sense at all, and it really took the structure of any television show and it flushed it down the toilet. And nobody was watching WWE going, well, it's the way they put everything together. No, it was the promos, or it was the people not getting a push, or one of many issues, but they just don't want to touch it. It blows my mind. It flabbergasts me. Why wouldn't you start with the meat and bones instead of playing with everything else up here? And of course, it's very unlikely to change because they are making a bunch of money, which is good because it means a lot of that cash can go to the wrestlers. For example, after Kevin Owens signed at the beginning of the year, Sami Zayn has also put his name on the bottom line, which I actually do like, because while it would be cool to see them in AEW, it means when I do tune into World Wrestling Entertainment, I get a bunch of guys that I like. But you can always do better. That's the point. You can always do better, even if you're the greatest wrestling company in the world, but not if you are focusing on people with old looking beards. Like maybe you right now are thinking, well, I would like to be a professional wrestling coach. Well, you better start dyeing this thing or shave it right off. Otherwise, you ain't getting a gig. And that's barely a sentence. I mean, we take it English and we're killing it. So there you go. And usually you could be like, well, that doesn't sound like it's real. But this came from somebody who is there. And as Scotty 2 Hotty has come up, he's coming over here to the UK to wrestle soon. And you bet your ass I'm going to see him. That guy is great. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this, but don't do that with your hand. It looks like you're some kind of weird elephant. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com, and then you know everything that's going on in the wrestling world. Follow us on social media, because what are we if we don't have lots of followers? And watch another video on YouTube. Otherwise, we won't have a job. My name is Simon for What Culture. Thank you for joining me as always, and I'd be screwed. I'll let you know that. My hair went grey when I was 16 years old. And that wasn't because I was an old man, it's because my relationship with hair has been absolutely terrible. Let's just draw a line under it. Let's move on. See you soon.
Hey you! Yes, you, the wrestling fan! Have you got the January blues? Do other wrestling fans mock you and kick you in the balls for not knowing stuff about AEW, WWE, NXT delete as appropriate? Well, never fear, because What Culture Man is here. I said, What Culture Man is here. And he's here to tell you that if you head to shop.whatculture.com now, you can get your hands on all these great wrestling books, plus magazines, t-shirts and board games. Becoming All Elite by Michael Sidgwick, Development Hell by Michael Sidgwick, Shocking Wrestling Plans You Won't Believe Almost Happened, Shocking Wrestling Plans You Won't Believe Actually Happened, and 606 Wrestling Matches to See Before You Die. Thanks, What Culture Man. What Culture Man is a What Culture creation. DC Comics, please don't sue.